Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're watching. The channel's called Ratchet. My name's Andrew, and on this episode, I get you caught up on where I stand with finishing up the dry build of the car. Because it's nearly finished. Woohoo! Run the title. Welcome to the channel if you're new. If you're not, thanks for tuning back in for yet another episode. All of the usual subscribe, playlist, blah, 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 blah. Like I've said on this episode, I have been working hard for the last almost 3 weeks now on trying to get finished up the dry build of the car. So that has meant basically raiding the roof space, getting everything down and getting it fitted back into the car. So let me get you caught up on what's been going on, because there has been a ton of work done. And there is my revised fuel system. So let me run you through what's going on. So there you can see the original facet fuel pumps that came with the car. So I've kept those. I've switched out the separate sight glasses and fuel pressure regulators for one single larger, I think it's a Malpassi V8 combined filter and fuel pressure regulator. So let me try and explain how I've ended up doing what I've done, just so I can sound out a few people and just to make sure that I think I've done it right, but it's always good to get a second opinion. So 2 fuel pumps drawing from each tank, that's all fairly standard. Each of the fuel outlines, which are at the top, have a inline non-return valve to stop any fuel crossing between either tank, and then those lines tee together into one line, which then feeds the single filter and pressure regulator. So I know what everyone does normally is they have 2 fuel pumps and then 2 filter and regulators, but because of the space I've got, I decided to refine that slightly, and in my simple brain, it's a system that will work. I think it will work unless I'm told otherwise. And then from the left-hand side of the filter, it then goes up to the carburettor. So let me just show you in a little bit more detail. So the fuel pumps, I've reused the bracketry that was originally with the car. It was a prefabricated little fuel pump holder. So that was riv-nutted to the chassis with a couple of additional brackets at the bottom to hold it nice and tight. You can see just on the underside there how that looks, and you can see how the lines tee together with the inline filters. I removed all of the AN fittings and braided hoses because it's not to my personal taste. So I've just gone with barbed fittings and then a co-line fuel hose, 8mm internal diameter. So I've now got all of that plumbed together, and I'm hoping I've come up with, kind of like a nice solution to fuel the car, which is all tucked away below this cover panel. also below this inner panel, I have got mounted the MSD ignition box and also the coil, which you can just see there. So it's a bracket that I've made that bolts to the chassis, that on one side has the coil mounted, and then on the other side the MSD box. If it was easier to remove this top panel, I would, show you, but take my word for it, they're there. I'm happy with how it's sort of come together. Another job ticked off of the list was a couple of under tray panels that I wanted to make, and those fit to the underside of the chassis in this area. So here is one of the panels. So you can see it fits in this location, but underneath. So it boxes out the underside of this piece, or underneath there, should I say. When I take the engine out at some stage, I will box in the sides of the chassis as well. So then that would make the space in there pretty much watertight. Possibly I'll add a couple of drain holes to this piece, should any moisture get in there. But these are going to be removable. So if the car ever does see rain, I can always just drop these off and wipe them out. I've now made the new fuel filler neck covers out of aluminium. You'll see kind of like the funny little wraparound shape on the front of these panels, and that basically just cloaks an awkward space that the dashboard left. So with the shape it's in, or the shape that I've made it, it now finishes around the downstand portion of the dash really nicely. So those are done. Moving round to the front, you'll see the front apron and the top panel has had a fair chunk of work. So starting with, the sides have been drilled for rivets to complete that detail. All of these panels have had quite a few hours of metal working to get them into the state that they're in now, and then hit with a DA and brushed with a Scotch-Brite pad to get them in basically their finished state. And you can slowly start to see how it's all going to look with the inner arches, those panels now complete in inverted commas, and now we've got the front apron shaping up nicely as well. One thing I did forget to mention whilst we were in here, boring detail, but still something that had to be done, was getting the wiper motor back in position. I had to cut some holes in the top panels to allow the spindle to come through, along with the cable mechanism. So that was all done. It took a horrible amount of time, but necessity, I guess. The pedal box, to which I now need to cut back to being inside. So the pedal box has had a huge amount of work done to it, and actually modified from how I received it from Southern. So the Southern pedal box has an integrated accelerator pedal. Looking at the linkage and how it just all sat in the car, I actually decided to go back to using the standard Tornado accelerator pedal, because just how it all fitted together, it made the routing of the throttle cable much nicer and much simpler. So what I did was remove the accelerator pedal and then cut some new spacers that you can see there, just to take up the space that the accelerator then left. I cut off the old Tornado accelerator pedal because it didn't match in shape and style to the Southern GT. I still need to get trimmed down to the exact size that I want, but it's in the ballpark. I need to cut maybe 10-15 mil off the bottom, but you know, that's small details to do. Looking down on the pedal box with the front cover panel removed, you can see that I've made a couple of brackets to help me route the throttle cable how I wanted it to. So I've got a new bracket welded to the top, which acts as a stop for the cable outer. I then have added a second smaller bracket to which I've fitted a metal raced pulley wheel. So that basically turns the cable through 90 degrees before attaching to the actual accelerator pedal. And it's just meant that I've managed to keep the throttle cable routing completely internally, whereas beforehand it sort of looped up inside the front of the car and then dived into the bulkhead, and it didn't look very nice at all. So this way I've managed to keep it all clean and simple and tidy and have it still work as well as it should do. So back round to the front now. I've taken care of what's going on inside. I picked up a couple of float level switches to replace just the standard caps, and certainly to replace what was fitted to the car, which was a bit of a Heath Robinson fix. What did take an hour or so was deciding how I wanted to route the flexi lines from the brake cylinders. I toyed around with a few ideas of how to route them, and I came up with this idea in the end, which I then had custom made by Earls. So the hoses are available in 50mm length increments. So, you know, just working out with a piece of wire how long I wanted each cable to give me the arch and to flow together quite nicely. So once I'd figured out those lengths, I then placed the order online and waited for those to turn up. I picked up some bulkhead fittings, and once everything came together, I then welded in a new vertical support. Because I didn't want the bulkhead fittings just mounting to the aluminium panelling, because I didn't think it would be strong enough, I welded in a new support. Just to the right of there used to be the old one of the servo mounts, so I just cut that off and then made a new plate for the brake lines to mount to. I'm not sure whether it kind of comes across in the video, but it does look quite nice, I think, if I'm bold enough to say, how they sort of loop over, kind of come together in that sort of arrow triangular shape. What I should mention is the fact I have decided to run the fire extinguisher. Given it a lot of thought, you know, what I'd said about maybe having a fire extinguisher just in front of the driver's seat, or in front of the passenger seat, sorry. But as a couple of people rightly said, you know, any car that takes you a couple of minutes to, you know, get out of, open the back up, if it's on fire, your car's going to be gone in that time. So I have decided to run a fire extinguisher system. The cable still needs tidying, but that will run along the front. It then dives in to the panelling and runs up inside the panelling through into the cabin, where I've got the pull handle mounted just on a very simple bracket. The pipe work I've yet still to finish. I think I've decided on the routing, just trying to follow the curvature of the heater pipes just to get it looking nice. I'm still trying to decide how best to position the nozzles for the fire suppression system. Previously they were on some brackets just around the perimeter of the carburetor, and that, you know, it's too close to everything really. I know they're meant to be in the corners of the engine bay, which in itself doesn't really work on this sort of car. So I'm thinking maybe about putting just two sort of high up on either side, just spraying down and across, hopefully covering the, you know, the carb, the exhaust and everything else that might be a source of ignition. But I still need some more thought on that, so that's why I've not rushed into doing anything and then regretting it after. onto some of the smaller little detail jobs that I needed to get out of the way. After some great advice, thanks everybody, about the position of the oil pressure sensor. I've now just got that tucked away down there, mounted nice and solid. So that's now out of sight. Something else was I made new battery cables because I wasn't happy with how the previous ones had been run. So nothing fun about that job whatsoever. Just trying to pick some nice routing lines and get some brackets fitted as neatly as possible. So it's all up underneath, but I'm really happy with how it's turned out. That basically wraps up this episode. I'm sorry it's not been the most exciting of videos, but it's all progress. It's just that sort of progress that doesn't make the greatest of videos, but it's something that I want to document for myself, and it's something that, you know, it might interest a couple of you guys out there. So yeah, that basically ties up this one. Next episode will be brake and clutch lines and possibly something far more fun, but I've not decided what. Make sure you click through to the playlist if you haven't watched all of the previous videos that I have released. Smash the subscribe button because I promise there will be big things happening to this soon. I cannot wait to get stuck into the bodywork and start making it right. So up until then, I will catch you next time.